It's been 1 week since you looked at me. Can't get into the sun, I'm angry. 5 days since you laughed at me. Saying get back together, come back and see me. 3 days since the living room. I realize it's all my fault, but couldn't tell you. Say you've forgiven me, but it'll still be today's the last name is sorry. And now I want to look wink. Does it make you stop think? You'll think you're looking at Aquaman. I summon fish to the dish, although I like the shallow fish. I like the sushi, cause it's never touched a frying pan. Hot like wasabi when I bust rhyme. Speak like Leanne rhyme, because I'm all about value.
Hello everyone, and welcome to episode 29 of Lost in Translation Mon. I'm May.
And I'm Jay.
This week, we watched our war game.
Or alternatively, Digimon the Movie Part 2.
And we watched Summer Wars, but a bit more on that later.
Isn't it a children's war game?
It's our war game or children's war game.
Okay, they're the same thing.
It's Bokura no war game, which is, Bokura is like our.
I'm nodding. This is a problem.
Well, Boku is like I, and then Bokura is our. So it's our war game.
Don't watch a show called Boku no Pico.
Though, however, do watch a show called Bokura no, because that's really good. It's about robots and, like, aliens, and it's not Evangelion. Anyway, on to Postmon Pat.
Well, no Diginews this week.
No Diginews, because it tries out. We have no more Diginews.
Oh,
ever.
yeah, we're done.
Our first is Anonymon, and they say, I'm worried about 02 as well, because from what I've heard, the American dub is just plain awful, and I didn't like the season when I watched it in the original either. So, like, that's kind of worrying to hear for Jay, I guess. But I'm just going to tell him that as a kid, 02 was actually my favourite, and from my memory, I really like it, and it sort of improves on the mechanics of adventure, but that's just what I think.
I'm going to be going into it with low expectations anyway.
That's probably a
so
good thing,
all
though.
things considered, it's probably a very reasonable warning.
Because I'm worried I've hyped up Tamers too much, and you're going to come to Tamers and just say, this is awful.
I don't want to clan it my way through it and get to the end and be like, when was it meant to get good?
Yeah, 02 is not bad, but I hope that you don't hate it. Anyway, next Anonymon says, what is your interpretation of Taichi and Sora's relationship in that movie without knowing any future events? Do you agree it was ambiguous or clear that they are together? So first of all, in the original, it's mainly just like they're having an argument and they're friends, but it seems a lot more romantic in the Digimon movie. I think Jeff Nimoy's come out and said that he supports Tai and Sora being together, so maybe that had an influence on their relationship being a little bit more obvious in the English version. What do you think?
I think that there was enough romance implied in it. I understand it was a birthday gift, but it was such a weird argument to have, and it was just too much to pretend that it was between friends. I wouldn't say that they're dating, but it sounded like they were on the cusp of it very clearly, and that they were both interested. And I think the way you really get that is Tai's embarrassment by the little love heart thing that's going on, or the interpretation through to love as the subject letter, and then her reciprocation in which she goes all the way to his house. She stands out front of his door. You wouldn't do that. Even if you were having a weird argument with a friend, you wouldn't go over there. You would send them a message or something, and then she's all conflicted about it. It's based on the argument that they were having. There's clearly more going on than an issue over a hair clip, I think.
Yeah, she's worried that he doesn't think she's pretty with the hat or something.
Yeah, and I mean,
at least she's upgraded to an actual hat.
A very clear hat. He's very used to it being a helmet. And yeah, that's also obviously a point in the favor of that, where you go, why would she care what he thinks about her hair or about her hat? Why would she ever care what anyone thought about it? Unless she really wanted him to like it, for whatever reason.
So the next Tumblr message is from La Monstero, and I'm really hoping I'm saying that properly. So they say, when I was a kid, I was sad that I couldn't watch Digimon the movie in cinemas. So when finally the movie was on TV, I was so hyped I didn't notice how I disliked the movie until the third time I saw it. The way the children talked was a little off, the music was different too, and there was no moment that they weren't talking. Now I understand why everything was weird, the American dub. I wish the Digimon movie was only one movie, Our War Game or Hurricane Touchdown. In Latin America, it could have been awesome. So I noticed that in the English version, they seem to be talking very fast, and I think that's because they didn't talk much in the original version. They were all just saying, oh, that's something. Like, well, what's this? But instead of saying, Izzy was just talking about, oh, I'll do this, and more technobabble, instead of him just, not saying much. They had to force him to put more words into a small amount of time frame, because he was only talking a little bit. So I noticed that a lot, and I actually found it rather off-putting, and it, in my opinion, it made the movie less good because they were trying to force more words when they could have just had, very small sentences like they had in the original.
It was called Hurricane Touchdown?
No, the third part's called Hurricane Touchdown. It's actually got a really long name. It's like Hurricane Touchdown Supreme Revolution or something.
That's an awesome name.
It's good. I think it's good in the Japanese version. The English version cuts out half the story. We'll get to that in a few months.
Yeah. Also, we will discuss, I guess, our feelings about this movie in more detail later. I'd like to respond particularly, but I think the movie has a lot of problems beyond just the acting. It has a lot of problems in its presentation and its context, some of which are completely baffling, but we have a whole show about it, so we'll get there. So, next, we had an email from Edgar, and they say that they're responding quickly on the old man speech. It's not really something that happens in life in the sense that when you hit a certain age, you just start having to have a different grammar. It's just a grammatical thing in Japanese that implies his age. Most effective when it's a novel and you have no images, rather than a way someone speaks in Japan. However, since we don't have that in English, Genai just speaks more or less normally. Kansai Ben.
Kansai Ben. It's the...
Is that a guy?
No, it's the Osakan accent that I spoke about last time.
Oh, okay.
Where Nande Onen comes from.
Similar to the Hick accent in the US. And does Australia have that?
Yes.
Yeah, we do. We call them bogans.
Yeah. So there's a very artistic video that I'll link in the show notes called Siggy Butt Brain.
Oh my god.
And I think it's quite vulgar. So if you don't like that kind of thing, probably don't watch it. But it's a very, very good representation of what Australians sound like.
Oi, mate, I steal my lighter.
Yeah, and they talk about, smoking a lot, because that's what Australians do, apparently. And they all wear, singlets, Bintang t-shirts and thongs. Oh, yeah, nah, mate. You know how in England they have chavs? Well, imagine chavs with,
that used to be convicts.
Okay, they kind of make chavs look a little bit posh, in a way.
A little bit.
Yeah.
And
maybe
there's a lot of goon.
Yeah, there's this really cheap wine called Goon, which you can get for a few dollars. It's it tastes like the grapes.
And Edgar goes on to say that I'm right and that we should stop hyping Tamers and instead hype 02. While it's not Edgar's favourite one, it did do some interesting things, and he's certain that it's really weird translating this from the screen, give me a moment, will really like at least one of the new characters. Is it Kari? Well, I like Kari.
You like Kari?
No, will I? Will she be better? Will she not be? Is she Jesus still? Do you remember if she's still Jesus?
I want you to experience it, but there is a character that I really like, but I'm worried about what the dub does to her.
Is it Wallace?
Oh yeah, good luck seeing that 40-minute movie where Wallace is and then never again ever.
Okay. And on the kids coming back, they did it through the magic of friendship and determination. It's through the magic of emotion. Again, Digimon isn't the hardest sci-fi. I'm allowed to overthink it, that's alright. It's all emotional and based on the feelings of the characters. And finally, they say that they don't understand the need to have Yamato's dad to be an original Digidestined. Why limit the universe? Also, would the kids have become Digi-Eggs? I thought about that exact thing. It's do the kids have to evolve back? Because if they're in the place that you go to in between here and Starter Village, do they have the ability to go and become eggs?
I guess that'd be slower evolution, evolving as we do through age. Maybe.
Yeah, a little Lekmon pops out, but it's pregnant.
Oh, please.
And
no Empreg, please.
We got one from SP, is that correct?
Yep. Well, that's just what showed up on Gmail. So.
Alright, so if there's a longer name, you should send us another email. They say that they've been listening to the podcast from the beginning, only occasionally commenting anonymously on Tumblr. You don't have to be anonymous, we still love you.
They're not anonymous anymore.
That's true, it's true. And finally decided to send a message, since you did a special on Try, but they'll know your Tumblr if you say. Anyway, they grew up on a different dub, and it was very faithful to the original. Maybe Brazil one at a guess.
Or any of
Any
the
other
dubs.
ones? Okay.
The Brazilian one like had a different intro. Some of them have like butterfly, but it's like got a different one. I think the Brazilian one kept the English
I
English
can't
song.
stand the Brazilian one with the woman in front of it.
Angelica, yeah.
Anyway, so they grew up in a different dub that was very faithful, and they're worried about what the American dubs will do to O2. So am I. So is May. So is everybody. And they said that they love Try, and I know May really loved it. And I came away from it, as I think some of you know from listening to our Try special, that I wasn't overly enthused with it. And then we talked about it enough, and I go, okay, I was kind of sold on it in retrospect, especially as intro.
I think the next few movies will be a lot better because they've already done the intro part. They don't need to introduce the characters. They will assume that you've already watched it. So I think there'll be a bit more. I guess there'll be more content. Like I think Jay was a bit bored with all the introduction.
I think my problem was that the introductions could have been more interesting. I would sum it down to missed opportunities. The thing itself wasn't bad, but it had so many times when it could have been great, but it kind of squandered them. Like when all the kids just randomly show up with all their Digimon around. That's not even a spoiler, because you knew that was going to happen. And they don't really do intros for most of them, just there they are. Okay. And I think that it could have been good scenes. And I just come off the end of Adventure, which last episode does a really good job of showing the kids one-on-one with their Digimon and talking to them and having like a personal...
We see Goemon and Joe reunite.
We do, but it's very short.
We shouldn't talk about Try too much.
No, we're not going to.
Yeah, some people might not be having...
But I think we can say anything. It's that there are Digimon in it, and they are with the kids. Well, with that being that's in the trailers.
Ty's in it.
Ty's in it. Did you know that? He's also the main character.
Yeah.
He's straight up the main character in this. There's no ambiguity.
So if you want to send us any messages, you can email us on Gmail. So that's lostintranslationmon@gmail.com. You can find us on Twitter, Tumblr, Facebook. We have a discussion thread on With the Will. You can comment on this episode on SoundCloud if that's where you're listening to us. You can message us on SoundCloud, and we'd really appreciate if you reviewed us on iTunes or Stitcher or wherever you're listening to us.
Excellent.
So our war game starts in the original version with just Bolero being really loud. It's blaring Bolero. Blarero. It was. I liked it though because it was sort of a kind of a reference to when the egg shows up in the prequel movie and how all electronics go all twitchy and weird.
It's not even a reference anymore. That's just a thing that happens. That's canon.
I know, but it's also, I think it's referencing to the last time it was a movie.
Yeah, in the English one, that's very clear because it just happened.
Yeah, and they constantly reference the first movie in the English version. So Hikari's very adorable in the original version. Actually,
too adorable.
She's normal though.
No, but what I mean is that she wasn't really like that in the show. So I haven't written in my notes. Well, at the beginning, I didn't know if this was before or after Adventure because she was acting really weird.
It's a year and a half.
Yeah, so it's clearly after, but it never indicates that. And this is in the English one where the prequel had just shown. You got to imagine the prequel. We talked about this ages ago, right? Half a year ago.
Yeah.
So the prequel just shows, and then you skip to here. Is that Adventure is done.
Yeah.
And the kids are like this, and things continue.
Well, the movie came out after 02, I believe, or maybe... No, I think it came out after 02 because Hurricane Touchdown in Japan came out halfway through 02. So the movie would have come out towards the end of 02 in English. So it's assuming that you would know, I guess.
I mentioned this, I believe, in Try as well. In that Try special. But if you make a show, or if you make something, you should also kind of assume that that's someone's first exposure to whatever it is you're making. That's why they do before, like, Last Time On. That's why they do that. When in this movie is incomprehensible to somebody who has not seen Adventure before. The first bit, okay, it's a prequel. And then you skip forward, and you've just come off Tai and Ikari with this little dinosaur who goes nuts and, like, breaks Japan.
And now they're best friends.
And now, not only they're best friends, there's a million other Digimon. All these other kids who showed up out of nowhere have them.
The kids show up in the prequel.
Yeah, but basically out of nowhere.
Yeah, they don't have Digimon.
And they all know stuff all of a sudden. Who's Genai, right? It's completely out of nowhere. Imagine if you're a parent taking in a kid to see this. It is meaningless. Absolutely meaningless.
Well, you might just like the pretty colours and the giant fighting monsters.
That is not how parents watch these movies. I would know. My dad took me to the Pokemon movie and fell asleep.
Really?
Twice! Not in the same movie. He took me to 2 different Pokemon movies and fell asleep in both of them.
Wow.
He said that was the best sleep he's ever had.
I like the Pokemon movie, I think. I can't remember much about it, but I know
Maybe
I
the
liked it.
writers will give us a better part in the next one. So yeah, that's... Sorry, I feel like now is approximately the time to speak about one of the key problems of the English version of this movie, where it's right after the prequel, and there's got no context for anything that's happening.
I think it's assuming that... Because
You
people... Like, do kids watch movies without knowing, like... Do people, like, I don't know what kids like, Phineas and Ferb? Is there a Phineas and Ferb movie?
There probably is.
Do they go and see the Phineas Ferb movie if they haven't seen Phineas and Ferb? I know that there's the girl who just slams open the door and says, "Mom, what the f-?" or something along those lines. I'm gonna have to censor that.
You are. But just, like, you just watched Adventure, even, right? And all of a sudden, Metal Groove on a fuse into this weird thing, and you're like, where did that come from?
I read your notes and just like, what is this evolution called?
What is it called?
It's called Jogress.
What does that mean? Jogress?
Okay, so Jogress is made up
It's
between...
progress when you jog?
No, it's joint progress. No, okay, guess what is in the English version?
Oh, so that's the Japanese one.
Yeah.
Is it Omega Evolution?
No.
Oh, I'm sad. Is it cross spelled with an X?
No, that's in Cross Wars or Fusion Battle.
Oh, okay.
It's not Fusion, because that's what they use in Cross Wars.
Is it Mega Evolution? Wait, no, that wouldn't make sense.
No, you give up?
Yeah.
DNA evolution. Well, DNA digivolution.
That doesn't make any sense.
Well, they're like splicing the DNA, I guess.
But they're not. They're becoming its arms. It's just Voltron.
Yeah, well, anyway, so back onto the actual
Okay.
movie. Spoilers, that happens, BT dog.
Oh, yeah, spoilers for this podcast that tells you the plot.
Okay, so, yeah. Then I wrote after Hikari is adorable, I said Kari is a pain in the neck. So she just walks in and she's like, ah, I'm annoying.
Oh, she's great.
And then we have Izzy, who says a very early 2000s thing, which is,
Huh? Prodigious! A computer virus on the internet!
he seems so impressed and, like, so surprised. I'm just like, I guess they didn't really think that computer viruses were going to be a thing back then, maybe?
Where else would you find one?
Yeah, like, first of all, computer virus already says that it'd be on a computer. And I guess, did they not think that you could get computer viruses? I don't know. 2000s, man.
No, on the internet you can't.
So, I've written, like, I noticed here that Izzy talks far too much from what is actually being said. Like, and I noticed, I've said this before in Postmon Pat, where he says things like, huh, what's this? Is that a Digimon? And instead of saying, oh, I will do this, I will connect to the internet, rah, 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 rah. And he says all these words, and, like, I guess they're trying to make him funny. It's like, oh, I'm joke, prodigious.
The problem with this is that because he talks more, he says more stupid things that arguably make no sense and even ruin the plot a bit. He's talking about this virus on the internet, surprise, and he goes, oh, the virus is feeding the egg, which means that the egg isn't the virus, it's being corrupted by a virus.
Yeah, and they seem to be under the impression that this virus is making this Digimon evil, and they say later on, I wonder what would have happened if he wasn't attacked by the virus. I'm like, that's just him.
Also, it also says at some stage of the English one, it might not even be a Digimon. And then it evolves. No, part Digimon, part virus, I think they say. But also, like, at some point they're like, what if it's not a Digimon? And then it digivolves. They're like, I don't know what it could possibly be.
And also, like, through this whole movie in the English version, they seem to have the impression that it's looking for someone. I guess it's to link in Wallace from Hurricane Touchdown, which has nothing to do with the plot, by the way.
It is straight up a completely changed plot. With this virus, rather than just being hungry and eating everything, it's looking for somebody. But the problem with that is that implies it can be reasoned with because it's communicating. And if everyone just gave it what it wanted, because it's calling everyone's phone numbers, and instead of that being a screen of it eating data, and that's what everyone's getting called because it's a screw up, it's calling to look for somebody.
And it's looking
just
for
say,
Willis, I guess.
Is it that guy? And he goes, okay, bye, and then goes to his computer. Like, that would do it.
Yeah. So then the Butterfly plays in the original, and then Bare Naked Ladies plays in the dub. And
I really like that, actually. It fit really nicely.
Yeah, it goes pretty well. And actually, the intro and ending of this episode of the podcast is a mashup that First Agent did on Tumblr. And thank you, by the way. He's letting us use that. We have permission.
Fantastic.
Anyway, so poor Joe is studying, and I think they reference him going to summer school.
I thought it was middle school.
Yeah, well, in the
English.
English version, it says he signed up for summer school, but instead of like he's doing like middle school exams or something, or junior school exams. We really need to talk, Dub. Okay, so at the beginning we see that Mimi has lots of letters by her door, and on the door, of course, she has the family nameplate, which says Tachikawa, which is, her last name, and then it has her dad's name, her mum's name, her name.
And her brother's name, and her dog's name, and her cat's name.
In the dub. But yeah, so, Dub Riders. Care to tell us why you changed this nameplate, this wonderful, normal nameplate, to read, to Mimi, love Joe?
Tweet to Jeff Nimoy.
Like, I guess they really tried to push the ships in this, and like I posted the screenshot comparing both of them and just saying why, and a lot of people said, yeah, they just really tried to push the ships hard in this movie. But just like later on, we see that the Yagami nameplate is changed to the Kamiya nameplate, and that's to change the name because that's what his last name is in the English version. But why didn't you change this to Tai Love Sora or Tai Love Joe or Tai from Izzy or whatever?
That was made of metal. They couldn't change that. The kids aren't forging these things.
Yeah. Well, the heart looks pretty extravagant. But yeah, I'm just really perplexed by why... They know what a nameplate is. They use them. But why'd you have to change it to a love letter?
Because it was funny, and all the English writers wanted to do was put in jokes. Bad ones.
Also, suddenly, Ty's mum can't cook.
Yeah, I thought that was a really weird joke. Where in the original, she's made... basically, Izzy runs over to Ty's house. And that's where most of the movie takes place. And she's made oolong tea, I think. And she hands a glass to Izzy. He's like, yeah, thanks. And then he tries to give it to Ty, and he just says no. Throughout the whole movie, Izzy's drinking this tea. In the dub, instead it's like tomato juice, and
No, it's not tomato juice, because tomato juice is normal. It's like potato beef jerky shakes.
Yeah, potato beef jerky shakes or something. Then at some point, she wants to make a cake, and in the first one, she's like, yeah, I've got flour or something around. In the English, she's like, yeah, I've got wheat germ. Then she tries to get Izzy to help, and he's shaking out flour on the table. He goes, is this enough? And in English, she goes, I don't know, I've never used flour in a cake before.
Yeah.
And I don't know why they thought that it would be interesting to have her be this terrible cook when she does provide a lot of stuff a lot of the time. It only fits into two little jokes that happen, that get changed slightly. But one was unnecessary because it already took place, which is that over the course of drinking a lot of tea, Izzy needs to go pee. Except that in the English, because he's drinking potato beef jerky cake shakes, he needs to go poop. Because his stomach feels bad.
I bet he needs to throw up.
Or he needs to throw up. Either way, he feels sick.
Yeah, his stomach hurts.
But it's the same animation from running off. And the last thing is that his mum burned something in a microwave.
Because of the virus that affected basically all electronics.
Yeah, and because it's computer controlled, and they say that. Except this one's just like, well, yes, I burned it. Yeah,
like it seems much more it's her fault rather than it's the virus's fault who just affected everything that's electronic ever. So, I don't know why they had to put in that joke. Maybe they bring up that she can't cook in 02, maybe they don't, maybe it's just a one-off thing that she suddenly can't cook.
She's in 02. Oh, because Kari's there, yeah.
Yeah. Well, Ty would be there too.
I don't know. I haven't watched it.
Oh. Anyway, so the best joke in the whole movie, and probably the whole of Digimon, is said, and it's kept in both versions, and I'm so happy they kept it. So Izzy comes to the door and doesn't explain himself why he's there. He just says, the egg hatched. So, of course, Taichi, holding an egg, looks at the egg in his hand. And yeah, it's perfect, and they kept it, and I'm just so happy.
Not that egg! The Digi-egg! Of the thing that might not even be a Digimon.
Like, to be fair, if someone came to my door and said the egg hatched, and I was holding an egg, I'd just say, I'd look at the egg, because in his context, the only egg that exists is the egg in his hand. Like, he doesn't know about the Digimon, so it's a stupid thing for Izzy to say anyway. But I love it. It's a perfect line. I love it. Love it, love it, love it, love it. And then Izzy's talking about his net friend in LA.
Is that Wallace?
Yeah, so
Is it Wallace though?
yeah, it's changed to Willis/Wallace. I think his name's Willis in the dub. I can't remember, and his name's Wallace in the original. I don't know.
Why would they change it? They're both American names.
So then they find that Kuramon has evolved to Sumemon, and Sumemon evolves to Karamon, and also he can talk in the English version for some reason.
Why not? Digimon can talk.
Yeah, but he doesn't talk in the Japanese version because he's not meant to be sentient. He's meant to be a virus. He's meant to be not smart. He's meant to just be feral and attacking
He was
things.
always smart.
He's a monster. I know, but he's like not like a.
He was crafty.
He can't communicate.
I guess he can now.
Not in the English version.
I mean, like, the thing with the clock was always there.
Yeah, he communicates with text like "I'm hungry" or "Let's play."
Yeah, so he can communicate.
See, I'm very thrilled because I can actually read what he writes because.
I read it because it translated into a big hello.
Yes, but I can read katakana and hiragana, and that's about it.
I'm proud of you.
I'm very proud of me.
Being proud of you.
I'm proud of me.
You can hear the sound of it.
So then we're reunited with the Digimon, and so Tai is reunited with Agumon, and it's very cute. They're just jumping around this very cute, like, pixely world, and Genai's there, and then they talk, and then they say what they're going to do. Then Tailmon starts walking to the wall for a few minutes. Like, she just walks into the wall. I don't know why, but I guess they had to say that it was glitchy or something.
Like, because obviously that, whatever they're in operates under video game rules, not, like, it's not in the digital world necessarily. Because why would she be walking straight into the wall? Why would they be walking in 90-degree angles and not just be able to free run?
Yeah, I think it's like this isometric, like, game-ish area that they're in.
In fact, a lot of the mechanics of how the Digimon work don't make a lot of sense.
Well, it's a TV show.
No, it's a movie. They have a greater onus to make sense in a movie. That's the noise I would make.
I thought it was cute.
Oh, this was cute, yeah, but it begs too many questions about how things work later on, and we'll get there.
So then Taichi tries to call people. Joe is at an exam. Yamato and Takaru are out. Their grandma is very old. So, like, out as in they're at the grandparents' house. So when Tai says, "Oh, can I speak to Yamato or Takaru?" and the grandma says, "Sure, I'll get them," and then she hangs up.
I love that. So like, I want to speak to Yamato. Yamato is my grandson.
Yeah, I think that was pretty much done in both versions, which I appreciated.
No, but also, I want to talk to them. I like to talk to them too.
That was definitely in the English version.
In one of them, I think it was in the Japanese, she was like, "Great," and then just hangs up because she doesn't really get there.
And then she says, "Sure, I'll get them," and then she just hangs up very slowly.
Ding.
Also, I think after this there might be a bit of footage that's cut, but I'm not quite sure because I just couldn't find the English version. So there's a woman who's just looking at the meat, and it's like incorrectly labeled, and she's like, but I think that might be cut.
No, that's I don't remember that.
No, there was a guy. There was a guy buying the chocolate, and that was kept. So I'm talking about there was another scene.
Actually, the difference is a little bit distinct just in its impact, because in Japanese it's like, okay, 1,000,000 yen. That's pretty expensive. Like, that's really expensive.
It's still a few thousand.
It's a few $1,000s for this chocolate. $1 million.
Must be really good chocolate, paper or plastic.
Although this takes place in Japan. Like,
yeah.
The series has covered that this is Japan. Why are they using dollars?
Oh, there are worse bits where they try to censor yen. Like, even though they've already said they're in Japan, they still try to remove like references to being Japanese.
That's weird.
Yeah. So when Taichi calls Hikari, and she answers the phone, but she's at a party and wants to blow out the candles. And apparently in the English version, she's volunteered to be cut in half by a magician, and there's no magician shown, but why not? Because that's what they would have.
It just needs to be slightly wackier.
So Koshiro is helping cook. Taichi doesn't want to call Sora. Taichi gets very embarrassed. They go back to the computer. Cat's looking at the computer. Nothing, there's just silence. In the English version...
Thank you for visiting meow.com.
Was there a cat in this? I just realised they have a cat.
Yeah, I just said that was the bit the cat was in.
Oh, I don't remember seeing the cat.
Yeah, it's like, thank you for visiting meow.com. It's the best part.
I don't remember the cat at all.
Yeah, he was in that just one moment.
I'm totally... Okay, I have no memory whatsoever of the cat.
So, the Digimon go to the internet, and they have to use Izzy's password, which is prodigious. And so people around the world are watching the battle. Keramon evolves to perfect and attacks them during evolution, which I wish that all enemies did, because it seems like the smartest idea.
Why don't other enemies do that? The evolutions sometimes take several minutes. And if you can just stop them, and not only do you stop them, you shunt them back to being an adult.
Yeah, like, I think a while ago you brought this up, like, why are they just not attacking them? And I said it does happen. So this is the bit where it happens.
But the fact that it can happen here means that when Devimon just lets it go...
Like, would you just attack Patamon before it becomes Angemon instead of just staring there and screaming?
If anything made me hate Vamdemon more, it was this.
Yeah, like... If I was a Digimon bad guy, I'd attack all the Digimon during the evolution because that's essentially where they're vulnerable, right?
It's like 30 seconds to a minute of pure vulnerability in which you'll just win. And they sit there and they watch it and they're like, interesting. And the Digimon don't evolve at the same time either because the implication is very clear that they're not simultaneous. They're one after another.
Yeah.
Because when they're simultaneous, it's like in the last episode of Adventure when you can see them side by side.
Yeah.
It is baffling how much this ruins every other enemy in the series.
Yeah. So then an Australian boy emails them and says, how are you losing? And this is just replaced by Wallace. And he says, I'm sorry for doing that. This is my fault. It's like, no, just go away.
Is the Australian one Will Oz?
No, his name's probably Dingo or something.
Yeah, Dingo!
Or Eucalyptus.
Ah, my friend Didgeridoo.
So then we see a Ferris wheel speeding up, and the little girl seems really happy by the fact that she's probably going to die. And I think this might be cut in the English version. Again, I'm not sure. I couldn't find it in the English version, so I'm assuming it was cut. I don't know why it would be cut, but it was, apparently. I don't know.
I know. I caught one really big cut.
What was it?
We'll get there.
Okay.
But I love Ty's mom's watches the Ferris wheel's really going today. Like, no concern at all. Like, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Ty, come and look at this.
So then we go back to Kari's party, and the birthday girl's face is so done whenever Hikari's on the phone. Like, oh my gosh, she just like, her eyes just square and it's funny.
The one change here actually I think is interesting is that in Japanese she's already on the phone. And everyone kind of just notices.
Well, this clip's removed. This one's removed in the English version, I'm pretty sure.
No, because she needs to be cut off by a wizard.
Yeah, that was the first time. This is the second time that she's at the party.
But, like, she'll do her big breath intake for the candles, then you hear bring, bring, because the phone's ringing.
Yeah.
In the English, only.
Yeah.
But in Japanese, she's already on the phone. Like, they changed it a little bit where one, they were all just kind of noticing, and the other one there...
I think they might have cut it for time. Like, cut it down much shorter and removed the second...
It's obvious that they have to cut it down for time, because, they've
got to fit it into a full
cram
movie.
3 movies in.
Yeah. I think it's like a 30-minute movie in the English version and a 40-minute movie, like, with, like, a few minutes of ending song, but still...
They needed to fit in this ending song.
They added on a clip from the next movie to the start of this, to the end of this movie, which I guess we'll get to in a bit.
I didn't watch it. I got there, I'm like, this isn't it.
Yeah. Well, you could have watched it because it was meant to be in that movie. So, their connection disconnects and Taichi's head does a complete 180. Like, that should not happen. Like, he just looks like he's broken something.
Exorcist Mon.
Yeah. So Taichi tries to contact everyone again, and in the English version, instead of just like beep beep beep, he gets yelled at by the phone voice person. And then Sora tries to visit Taichi, which I think they put here more to imply that she was just visiting him because he called or something.
No, because he sent an email, but it didn't go through because of the...
No, I know, no, but this part was, like, implied that was because that was why she showed up, was because, like, when he said, oh, just come over? Or was that later on?
No, because she was already gone, because she'd already come over. He left a message, because she was gone.
Yeah.
So, because she was outside, and then she goes, oh, you're a jerk, and then leaves. Yeah. So she doesn't get the message till she gets home.
So then Infamon calls him, like, on the phone, and actually talks to him on the phone. Like, he says, did you program me? Instead of it just being the computerized voice going, moshi moshi, moshi moshi, moshi moshi, moshi moshi.
This plot is really dated, because... This plot only works back when the phone system and the internet were one thing.
Yeah.
Like, he wouldn't have escaped out into the phones 5 years later, maybe.
5 years later, really?
I don't know, 2006?
So,
there was more cable DSL than there was dial-up.
Well,
definitely 10 years later.
Yeah, good. Yeah, definitely 10 years later, yeah. The news announcer says, now some breaking news. Phone systems throughout Tokyo are experiencing difficulties. And then Taichi's mum says, a lot's going on today. And that's fair enough. A lot is going on today. You're trying to make a cake. That's fine. And also the Ferris wheel was going a little bit faster than usual. Anyway, so in the dub...
Phones have gone dead worldwide. If your telephone is dead, please call your phone company.
Well, at least my sister can't call me 3 times a day.
They had to put in 2 jokes.
2?
In one not joke. And also, they made it a worldwide thing instead of just Japan. Like, it's very much just a within Japan and Tokyo thing rather than a worldwide thing.
Well, that would make a lot of sense, what with it being in the phone system.
Yeah.
The phone system doesn't exactly extend all the way.
But I guess they're trying to tie in Wallace to all this in the...
He does go to America in both.
Yeah.
It's eventually.
So, yeah, so I wrote that the Sora visiting Thai clip is moved here to imply that she checked her phone messages and came only here. So it was when he was trying to call people and wasn't getting through, but now when he's actually leaving messages for people on the reserve system or something, that he was just she checked it and then was in two minds about whether she should visit or not. So yeah, it was moved there.
That makes her seem really terrible.
Yep.
That makes her seem like really garbage.
Like, because he said, "Oh, just please come over," and then the next clip you see is Sora about to knock on his door. But I'm pretty sure that was much earlier in the film.
Because I saw the Japanese one first, I just thought about it as she came over in the absence and she hadn't heard it yet.
Yeah.
Because when he left it, he would have just been inside.
I saw the Japanese version first. I just noticed that was different, I think. I think it was different. I might be wrong.
How do you use the reserve message system to notify someone that they have a message?
I think she just checked and was lucky. Also, same with Matt.
Like Matt and TK. Would they have just gone to the phone and been like, yeah, okay?
Well, I think the grandma might have said, "Oh, they want to talk." Like, he wanted to talk to you. Because she still went to get them.
Because there wasn't a TV running in there, was there?
Yeah.
They wouldn't have known.
No, there was the TV when they were watching baseball, weren't they?
They're watching baseball at her. That's in
No,
Summer Wars.
No, they were watching baseball in both movies. That's why I said it's the same movie.
That's the same movie. Holy crap!
And also, like, TK's grandma was watching TV and he was giving her a massage. So yeah, we find out that Mimi's in Hawaii, and she seems a lot more vain, as always, in the English version.
I actually thought that it was Ty's interpretation, like his imagination of what she was, like reading out what her postcard said.
Yeah, I just got that like that. That was just that's what she was saying in the postcard.
Yeah, she was listening to it in the postcard, but she wasn't yelling, "I wish you were here."
It was probably had exclamation points, like a lot of them. Yeah. I don't know.
But she gets back from like America again. She's always in America. Like, she gets back from America in Try. That happens as well. And she's just like, "Hey, everybody." Just starts talking about other stuff, even though really important things are happening. I
liked Mimi. I like her. So they use the reserve message system, and TK and Matt are able to contact them. Then Matt says,
"Hey, Ty, it's Matt. So what's the big emergency? Call me back." "Oh, I gotta go. Grandma fell asleep on TK again."
Does this happen often?
Apparently he said again. So there's another little line that they had to leave in.
Did you know that they really like inserting jokes into the English for no reason?
So Infamon once again sends a message saying that he's looking for someone, which he isn't, but they have to reference Wallace.
He is now, though.
Like, this is somehow Wallace's fault that they're trying to get in this movie. So Takeru and Yamato try and find a computer while Infamon's eating America. And the clip of them going around to house until they find, go to a couple's house, is removed, and all of a sudden they're on a random's bike.
Yeah, that was the big one I noticed. I'm like, there's a whole scene that they just cut.
Yeah, so it's basically, they find a house, and they go, "Oh yeah, there's only one in town, our internet's down at the moment, like our computer's not connected," and then TK starts crying. He's like, "Oh, fine," so he takes them on a bike, and then he goes to the barber. But instead, we just see them on a stranger's bike.
I feel like he's crying earlier than that, but it's been a while now.
Yeah. So then this
is...
No,
actually, they're not a stranger's bike. They're like, "Uncle whatever." They pretend that they know him.
Oh, okay.
In the English one, they change the line.
Well, they have to, because otherwise it's just a stranger's bike in the English version.
Just like when the kids get picked up by that random dude.
Who's their uncle? Yeah, cousin, yeah.
Sora's cousin.
Yeah.
It was actually just a random dude who wanted these 10-year-old girls.
Yep.
Ugh.
So this is where the bit where... Izzy says, "Oh, I wonder what the Digimon would be like if he was never attacked by the virus." I'm just like, he wasn't attacked by anything. This is just who he is inside.
Also, this is really weird for him to say when it's like, they're a virus-type Digimon, aren't they viruses?
Yeah.
Does that mean that the egg was just beaten over the head by Ogamon a little bit?
Oh, jeez. So, yeah, Izzy still drinking oolong tea? Or I guess beef shakes? And then, so Patamon and Gabumon get on the internet, and there's not much talking. They're just saying, "Oh, look, it's Patamon and Gabumon." And, there's Tentomon and Ogamon. But in the English version, Patamon says,
"Sorry we're late."
I was surfing in that and I wiped out.
Huh? Gabumon and Patamon!
Is TK on this ride?
He's not tall enough.
It's so garbage.
I thought it was cute, but I think it was unnecessary.
Oh, totally.
Another joke that I think they just wanted to make this movie funnier than it was. I think it's a lot more serious in the original.
Kids can't pay attention. Mary kids have no attention span whatsoever.
So then Infamon evolves and attacks Patamon again during mid-evolution. So I don't know why they tried to evolve. They should have tried to evolve before. They should have just said, yeah, last time we tried to evolve, that didn't work out too well, so let's evolve before we get to him.
And then he's getting attacked, and he's in the thing's claw, and he's like flying backwards towards the wall. And TK goes, "Look out!"
So then there's a really tense moment, and Taichi's just looking at the screen, and then Izzy goes to the bathroom to wee because he's had so much oolong tea, and then I think he just has a stomach ache and has to be sick or has to go to the toilet or something because he's had too many beef jerky shakes.
He's
or whatever
been
they are.
poisoned.
So then their internet kind of goes funny, and I think their computer breaks. And I really like what they did in the original version, because since they're playing Braveheart, it just like sounds like it's lagging. It just goes, "Show me your brave heart, show me your brave heart, show me your brave heart, show me your brave heart," over and over again.
Like a record screwed up.
Yeah, I really like that effect. And then there's a blue screen of death because Taichi hits the computer too much.
Except that he hit the screen, which shouldn't blue screen your computer, because it's just the screen.
The computer part's on the floor, the monitor's on the table.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
They're both on the floor. They brought them both down.
Yeah, but it's
But
like...
yeah, he hit the monitor, and then they blue screened somehow.
I think it was just going to blue screen anyway, to be honest, because it was doing that "Show me your brave heart" thing.
Maybe.
When I had a Windows computer and it was about to blue screen, I always knew because if I was listening to something, it would just repeat the last bit of sound it made.
That's entirely possible.
Yeah.
But I guess the show positions it that it's his fault entirely.
So Diaboromon copies himself and launches one missile. In the English version, he launches 2 missiles, one in Japan and one in Colorado. So that's to tie Wallace in, obviously.
Who is Willis?
Where's Wallace?
Where is Wally Willis?
I will read that book, Where's Wallace? It's throughout the series and you find whose Wallace is. So, just to say something, I told Jay that there were 2 characters that show up in the background when the kids around the world are watching the D fight. And I was like, 2 of these characters will be relevant. One is relevant in 02, one is the character in the Wonder Swan games. And he just picked a screenshot of I think it's the one who's black with the blonde kid, I think. And he just wrote, "Is this Wallace?" I was like, you missed the point of the exercise.
No, I've got the exact point of the exercise. Is it Wallace?
So yeah, what the characters that do show up, there's Miyako with one of her older sisters, and there is Rio in the mountains. We're not sure where he is, but he's in the mountains.
Is
But
he
yeah.
the Australian friend?
No. Rio's Japanese, man.
Oh, okay. So it's Mount Fuji, the only mountain in Japan.
So then Izzy's getting lots of emails and he's reading them, and he gets one from his mum, and it's telling him to be home by 6. And as well as someone else who's a non-Digimon person who seems to know the Digimon stages, because he gets an email that says, "How could one Mega level Digimon be beaten? How can 2 Mega level Digimon be beaten by 1 bug?" It's like, how does this kid know the stages of Digimon?
I didn't even think about that, but yeah, that's a huge problem. I guess unless all of Japan may or may not have watched them in the sky.
Yeah, but they still wouldn't know the stages.
But they were talking about them.
There was no speakers. You could only see them. There was no sound.
Okay, maybe.
Yeah. So this kid happens to know the stages somehow. I don't know.
Maybe he's one of the old Digidestined.
Anyway, so when they're trying to look for the one with the clock, why can't Metal Garurumon use his senses again that he used with Piedmon?
Because there's too many of them, I guess, and they all smell the same.
Good
He was
point.
just trying to find where the swords were, not which particular sword.
Good point. So then there's 7 minutes left until the missile, 7 minutes left till cake, and also Joe's exam. And then Here We Go starts playing. And then, we see Miyako, so I have Miyako, hello baby, Miyako, are you okay?
Who?
Miyako is the purple-haired girl that I showed you.
I don't... Oh, wait.
The character who's going to be in it later.
Oh, okay, got it.
My favourite.
Sure.
And yeah, so emails are making their connection show. War Greymon and Metal Garurumon get beaten.
As they always do.
Koshiro once again is on the computer and unaware of his surroundings, as we've seen in Try, we've seen it in the earlier episodes of Digimon Adventure.
Good character development.
Yeah. So in the English version, I guess they've forgotten about this flaw that he has, and it's just Ty's mum coming in to talk to them, and Izzy just starts talking and saying, "Oh, blah blah blah, technobabble this," and then until she goes away. But he still responds to her. He isn't completely ignoring her like he does in the Japanese version, which I think he's just saying, oh, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? So Taichi goes into the computer, and so does Yamato, and the narrator Kari says something really annoying, which was, Tai himself became digital, and we don't know how. You already became digital last season!
I have that exact note.
I'm so annoyed, because they were digital. They were completely digital.
They were digital for months.
Like, why is this a new thing?
Well, if you had just watched the prequel... Then yeah, that would be really confusing, wouldn't it?
So there's a really cute reference to part 1 in the English version, which is him saying, please wake up, poor Greymon. I don't have a whistle to wake you, but please wake up. And I think that's really cute, because it's, Taichi had to use his whistle to wake Greymon up in the prequel. And I thought that was cute. So then, I really like the music that they use in the dub, and I said that in an earlier episode, I know. So the emails give power to them to make them form Omegamon, who clears up all the copies, leaving the original. And Omnimon says his name, and they just sort of say, oh, part War Greymon, part Metal Garurumon.
Part emails.
Join together to become Omnimon. And then Let's Kick It Up plays.
Let's kick it up.
I can't believe you know that song.
I watched the movie.
Oh yeah, good point. You're still a nerd. You're still a nerd. So Koshiro forwards all the emails to Diaboromon, which causes him to freeze.
This is actually one of my... it's the stupidest thing ever, but it's one of my favourite, solutions to the overwhelming bad guy, is we will send him all our emails, and then we'll lag him so we can catch him.
So when Izzy forwards him all the emails, he says, go! But in the English version he says, you've got mail! Which is, not dated at all. And then we see Miyako again, who's the best character.
I actually, I have access to my boss's emails for work, and he still has AOL mail, because some people still do.
Jeez,
and
really?
I go
Is
on
he
there,
from the year 2000?
Well, he's much older than that. He's like 65. And I'll go on there, and it'll say, you have unread mail.
Oh, wow, and she's talk?
It says it out loud. You can't, it gets me every time.
Jeez. Oh, can you open that when I'm around just so I can
do
die?
it right after this.
Oh, thank you. So, Taichi's mum burnt the cake, the missile lands in the water, and managed to not hurt anyone.
Yeah, actually, a missile traveling that fast is still, it's the size of at least, 5 cars.
Summer Wars did this realistically, because it still super damaged some things.
Yeah, it's still going to blow up the area. It's a meteor.
I guess it was meant to be disarmed and wasn't meant to make that much damage, but it still would have burned up and done some damage.
So this is the concept of the mass driver. Do you know what a mass driver is? So a mass driver is it's this thing from the 60s, an idea called Operation Star Wars, where basically you put a giant tungsten rod in space, and then you drop it. It's got no explosives, it's got no propulsion. You just drop it, and on a trajectory to land wherever you hate. Thing is, it's going to drop so fast because gravity's dragging it along. It very quickly gets to terminal velocity. Its terminal velocity is ridiculous because it's it's thin, it's a rod. It's it's big though. And then it picks up speed and it's got so much mass. It hits the ground. It's got the force of several nuclear weapons, and it had no explosives in it. It just was. It's so disgustingly strong, and this is a lower version of that. If you throw a missile at an area, even if it doesn't blow up, it's been traveling at hundreds of miles an hour. It's going to kill everything. It was going to kill Sora. She was right next to it. In fact, she was so right next to it, I can't believe she didn't even hear it.
Well, there was the wave behind her from the water.
She didn't even glance. Her peripheral vision should have picked up the giant wave. Is it Godzilla? No? Alright, whatever.
So yeah, Sora gets Taichi's email. Maybe that's why she's too preoccupied with the email that she just got.
She wants her boyfriendo.
Yeah. So then Izzy says, in the original version, we didn't make it because, it still lands. He's worried that what happens if we didn't make it because it was only to the very second.
What does he think would have happened if he did make it? It would never have landed? It would have flown past
I don't know.
and stayed flying forever?
Well, they changed this in the English version to him saying, I'm about to barf, because he's had all those beef jerky shakes. So then the great song starts playing, which is...
Let's kick it up!
No! It's Sakuhin number 2, Haru, I think it's called? I don't know. It's really good. It's by Mimi's voice actress again. I really like it. And then it starts raining somehow, even though it's blue sky. But I don't know. I guess that happens in Melbourne, so I guess it could also happen in Japan.
It could.
And then, I love the ending because it's just they load up like Windows 2000.
Hello, Windows 2000, my old friend.
Are you reading my notes?
Yes, I am.
Usually we record on Skype, but right now we're recording in Jay's study because my internet's capped back home, so it's back to the year 2002 with me. And so nothing would load. So yeah, I'm recording it not on Skype and in person.
Avast, back to 2002 with ye.
Yeah, that's my punishment for having my Xbox on all the time. Which, by the way, super annoying. Was watching Summer Wars with my parents, and she was saying, "So can you make it so your Xbox doesn't turn on and do updates?" And we're just like, no. And my Xbox turned on, and I'm just.
I can't believe you picked that up.
No, it's super good actually.
Oh my god!
Yeah, because I recently
had
had
the Xbox turning on. Do.
Yeah, it does. No, I'm full on being serious. It does that. Like I previously had a power saving device where everything was turned off unless the TV was turned on, but that actually like blew a fuse in my old TV, so I had to get a new TV, and I got a better power board. So yeah, now my Xbox turns on if you're in the same room and say any words combining Xbox, turn and on, it picks it up.
Turn on box X.
So it has to be like. It has to be in that order, though, then the Xbox turn on. Oh, my God. But Mum was just, Mum was saying, can you make sure your Xbox doesn't turn on and do automatic updates? I'm like, no.
Extreme boxing is a real turn on.
Anyway, back to the Digimans. So, yeah, the cute photos from the movie, and the children are watching around the world, and they show Miyako, they show Rio, and then they show a cute picture of Taichi's mum and the bird cake, and then a really cute photo of, like, Sora wearing the hair clip, and she replies to Taichi's email, and it's, it's attached with the photo of her with her hair clip in. And then, instead of this, in the English version, we get Wallace running in a field with Terriamon and Kokomon. So he calls it Terriamon, but it's actually Gummymon. Gummymon evolves into Terriamon. But so that's a bit from the third part, but it's not in the Japanese version because they're trying to once again tie in Willis into this movie.
The real main character.
Yep.
We found him after all these years.
What did you think of our war game as someone who was new to Digimon?
It was okay. If someone was really new to Digimon, like I was when I watched the original prequel, God, that would be completely terrible. Like, imagine having no context whatsoever for the rest of the kids' Digimon, and then, like, did they just... Who are they?
Well, at least it doesn't show all of them having relationships with the Digimon. It's just mainly those four.
No, but still, it's like, oh yeah, TK's not tall enough to ride and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And wouldn't the other kids want to talk to their Digimon if they've been away for a year and a half?
Well, they didn't know because they were at exams or being annoyed. But
they would have got the messages afterwards and be like, oh god, we missed out our chance. How pissed would you be if you were Sora and you were standing outside Ty's house when all this was happening and he tells you the next day, by the way, all the Digimon were here. You missed it.
Yeah, and she could have seen Biomon.
And she's like, but my hair!
So do you think it was better? Like, it would have been better to combine this movie with the first one? Like,
no, it ruined it. It's actively terrible.
So it's better to watch it in the way that we're watching it, where we watch the prequel, then the adventure, and then this movie.
Absolutely. For most things, watching them chronologically is a good thing.
Well, yeah.
Except for Memento. Doing that one chronologically makes that into a boring movie.
Yes, we're watching in the order it came out in Japan, which is chronologically.
Yeah, I mean, not everything should be chronological. Like, most things should be release order.
Yeah.
But this is Japanese release order, so that's accurate.
Yeah, this is still release order.
For example, Metal Gear Solid, you should not play chronologically.
Should you play that release order?
You should definitely play that in release order.
Okay.
Except for 2. Actually, 2 is apparently really good. I just had no tolerance for it.
Which one's Snake Eater?
Number 3.
Right.
And that goes way back in time. So you'd play that first in chronological, and none of it would make any sense.
Right. So,
it's the best one.
what differences did you notice, and do you think they were justified?
So, I mean, obviously there were a lot of differences. And there's the classics. They add in lots of jokes. Kari was the narrator, randomly, and I'd forgotten. Because, of course, she was. She was in the prequel as well. But it's really weird, especially because in the English in the show it was Thai. But all of a sudden, yeah, I forgot Kari's the main character. And she's away the whole time. Why is she narrating any of this when she was at a birthday party?
Mm.
Who okay. The music, I actually really like the English music.
Oh yeah, I do too. The English music's
I've
good.
always liked the weird, over the top, early 2000s, late 90s, I guess, early 2000s music. That doesn't fit with how Digimon should feel in Japanese, but it actually works out with the visuals and everything. If only they weren't weird and over the top with the voices as well. And I mean, the obvious big one is that the plot's different. That the reason they're fighting this thing, the reason it's there at all, its entire motivation is just completely different. And it's all focused on this Wallace kid who, if you were watching this in a cinema, right? And again, let's pretend you don't have a lot of exposure to Digimon. You've watched it occasionally on television, right? You've caught a couple episodes on Fox Kids or whatever it was in your particular country. You didn't watch all of it. That's happened to a lot of kids, and you're like, okay, I'll watch the movie. Or you're just a parent and you've taken their kids to the new animated movie, and you've gone from this 40 minutes into the prequel, whatever long it was, 20 minutes? How long was the prequel?
The prequel was about 20 minutes, yeah.
Okay, so you're an hour into this movie. Who's Wallace? Why is he so important? He's mentioned constantly. The second act is entirely based on him somehow, without him ever showing up.
Well, he's like that. They do sort of Photoshop his face onto one of the emails.
I know, but at the same time, like
The Australian boy, I think.
at the same time, he's so much more important, and he's basically never around. And I don't know why they changed Ty's mom. That was weird, but it's them just throwing jokes around. I was just looking at something. And
The nameplate on Mimi's door, I'm still perplexed
I'm
by.
not that like I think it's stupid, but I pile it all in together, and just what is up with them not thinking it's even a Digimon, or it's part virus, part Digimon, or it was corrupted by a virus? None of that made any sense. And so it's like the people who wrote this had no idea, had never seen the show, or had not really bothered. And you were just like, alright, cool, this is about right. Do we know if this is the same writers as the adventure?
In the English version or Japanese
English.
version? Yeah, well, Jeff Nemo worked on it, but I don't think he was too happy with some of the things that were done with it. Like, he didn't want to combine the movies.
Well, I wouldn't think so. Because, it doesn't make any sense for them to be together. You can't go from the prequel and then skip the whole TV show into basically the wrap-up.
Like, for memory, he didn't want the third part to be on it, like, definitely, and I don't think the third part should have been attached.
I don't know what the third part is. I imagine I'm going to be equally baffled when that happens, and since it's so long after 02, there's probably going to be a whole mess of new characters showing up.
A little bit of a spoiler, I guess. They removed 20 minutes from the Japanese version.
Well, that's a hell of a thing.
Yep, they removed the whole plot.
So
have fun with that. Spirited Away by the Digimans becomes let's go to America without parents for some reason.
I totally forgot that when they kill Diaboromon, is that what he's called?
Yeah, Diaboromon.
When they kill him in English...
Well, Diablomon.
They kill Diablomon, they stab him in the face, and then he says, "Connection terminated." But how did he say anything when he's dead?
He doesn't talk like
and you know he's dead because the clock stops between 1 and 2 seconds. If he had enough time to say those words, they were all dead.
Yeah.
And the thing with the countdown was obviously the countdown finishes a little bit before the thing hits the ground, because then the warhead explodes, and it never actually is meant to hit anything. That's always the weird thing about nuclear weapons. They don't hit anything, they just explode above what you want to kill.
Yeah.
So when it hits the ground, hits the ocean, the river or whatever, and Izzy's like, "We failed," you just look at him and you go, "What? Who thinks that?"
He's 10, come on.
He's like 11 and a half now. He's
good point.
Almost 12.
Yeah, he's a big boy now.
He's basically an adult.
Yeah.
I'm 12, I'm basically an adult.
So, the Digimon that were introduced in this movie were... There is a moth on my screen. Hello, little friend. Don't annoy him. Don't.
Oh, get out of
It might
here.
be a Digimon. It might be Mothmon.
Okay, well...
Okay, so Kuramon,
Okay, it's a little spiky ball thing. It's cute, actually.
Sumemon.
It's getting creepy. It's like a wall master from Zelda.
It is. Keramon.
Yeah. This weird balloon with a smiley face attached to it, and it's creepy Devimon
Looks like Drifloon from Pokemon.
It really does, actually. Like a
Keramon
super
came
evil
first.
one. Yeah, but okay.
It's based on the onomatopoeia for cackling keta keta. That's cute. What about Infamon, the spider one?
It gets just creepier and creepier, which is really good. That's what it should Whoa! I hiccuped. What the hell is that?
Oh, this is the one that we didn't see, but I'm going to show you anyway because it skipped to child from child to perfect. This is his
Metapod.
adult level. Yeah, it's Metapod. It's
Kurosara.
Kurisarimon.
Or Chrysalimon.
Yeah, so it's Metapod. And what about Diaboromon?
It's very... It actually looks a lot like a weird feral version of Devimon, which is good. I actually kind of wish it looked more like him. Because I'd like to see an effective Devimon go nuts.
Well,
That'd be
Diaboromon's
awesome.
terrifying.
Yeah, he looks really good. And
Yeah,
it's got,
apparently Y2K bug based sort
but
of thing.
it's really... Oh, that's cool. The one thing that's weird about it is that its main power is multiplying and not being strong. And that's cool. Obviously, it's a side swipe that the kids aren't really used to. But it doesn't build up to that. It's mostly... it's really strong up until its final form, then it multiplies forever. So it doesn't feel like it's multiple things that are the strongest. Instead, it feels like its strength is that it multiplies, which kind of undercuts the individual scariness of him because there's automatically a million of him.
Is Diaboromon Wallace?
I found him. I found Wallace-mon. I was kind of told going into this that Summer Wars was like really similar, and I have 3 pages of notes about Summer Wars.
I have 6 points.
We will not be going into this actually really in depth because this isn't a Digimon clone movie. There are shots that are similar, and we'll be showing you some of those, I believe, in the show notes. But besides from really basic things, it's quite different. Even the theme and of the digital world and the companions and stuff is really different. In that, I mean, I call it at the beginning Club Penguin the movie because you've got your digital zone, which is Oz, and everything inside of that are avatars. They're player characters. They don't have a personality. They're never shown to have a personality. And then the characters, the real people, directly control them. So it's more skill-based than anything.
Yeah.
There is a bad guy who shows up and he starts eating data, although he's just eating people's accounts. And then he gets bigger and he does evolve twice, kind of. And that bit where Diaboromon multiplies into a million dudes, instead this thing becomes a giant titan made of smaller accounts. I don't really want to go into the plot because the plot is entirely unrelated.
We can give like a slight, very short.
We'll give you a short overview. Basically, there is a kid. His name is Kenji. He's really good at math.
He's dumb though.
But he's a Japanese teenager, so he's not this.
Gets a lot of blood noses.
He gets a lot of blood noses. You know the guy.
He gets 2 in the movie.
He's a Japanese nerd kid. You know what I mean? It's anime. And this girl shows up and she's like, "I want to hire you for a job," and he's like, "Okay." And he goes with her to this like huge estate in the Japanese countryside, and it's her grandma's 90th birthday. Basically, her grandma's kind of dying because she's 90, and so she wanted to bring someone to and say that she was engaged to make her grandma happy before she died.
And then says a bunch of these lies, like how he's a Tokyo U student and he's been to America and like he's really smart.
Yeah, but he's really good at math. He's pretty good at it. He didn't quite represent Japan.
No, he's candidate. They're not saying if he's in.
No, he said he missed.
Oh, did he?
He didn't make it. He didn't make it to represent Japan, but he almost did. So he's pretty good at math.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, there's this big central hub which it has business and it has entertainment.
And it's like linked with health, like people's health, and like the police department and the fire department.
Basically, Oz connects everything, and
the prime minister and like the president apparently have accounts.
Basically, at some stage during his first night there, he gets a message on his phone, and it's like a number problem. And he just spends all night solving it because it's kind of what he does. He just solves number problems.
It's what he does for fun.
And he sends his answer through on his phone to whatever anonymous thing sent it to him. He doesn't even think about it. And he gets a weird response of like a Jack in the Box. And all of a sudden, his account's been hacked. And he goes, "Oh no!" And his face starts showing up on the news because it turns out that somebody hacked the code for this online space. And they think it was him, that he's the culprit.
Because they stole his account.
And so the whole they stole his account. And it's going around, it's got this weird big creepy smile on, like the Digimon does in the other movie.
Like Keramon does, yeah.
And the whole family finds out that he wasn't legit, and they all got pretty mad about it. And there's one of the asshole relatives who's a policeman, arrests him.
Because he's in love with his second cousin.
It's really weird. He's like, no one falls in love with my second cousin except me.
Yeah, basically.
And then there's this really strong avatar called King Kazuma, who's the greatest character in the movie.
He's a bunny.
He's a bunny. It's the best. He has a wrestling title belt. It's the coolest. And they're run by somebody. They're like the most famous one in the world, and they were run by somebody in this big rich family with the long history or whatever. So Japan's infrastructure is like destroyed essentially, and this black sheep of the family just comes back named Wabisuke.
Wabisuke, yeah.
And he's huge. He's awful, and then he gets attacked by the grandma whose 90th birthday it is, and he leaves.
The dog likes him.
But the dog likes him.
That's important.
Because if the dog likes you, you're a good person.
Yeah. Dogs like me. I must be a good person.
So the kid comes back after being arrested because the roads are too clogged up, because the infrastructure's all down. And he gets back, and some things happen. Basically, the grandma passes away after having a talk with him about really being there for the girl.
The more important talk with Wabisuke, where she almost stabs him.
That was
with
before.
a
That was
knife.
before he left. So she dies, and then he comes back,
Yeah.
and he explains that he was the one who programmed. Oh no, that was before she tries to stab him. Yeah, before he left, he explained. Oh yeah, I was the one who programmed that AI.
Yeah,
that
and then
is
she tries to stab him.
eating the
she's
whole
angry.
world. Then she tries to stab him, and he leaves. He really could have explained it in a way that was less culpable and less gross, because he says, I developed it, but I sold it to the American military.
And I got lots of money to help out
And I
the
got
family.
tons of money. And then he's like, then he is a dick about it. And he's like, I used the money I stole from you to make all this money. It'll be great. So she tries to stab him and he leaves. Kid comes back from being arrested. Well, sorry we're jumping around a bit. It's a 2-hour movie and we're trying to summarize it down quickly.
Yeah, in not 2 hours.
And like millions of accounts have been stolen at this point by the AI, and it's gotten huge, and it's beating down King Kazuma, and they come up with a plan. And because this family's rich and very connected, they bring in like a military supercomputer and a boat for no reason.
I think that had the ice, so I guess it was important.
But why did he bring the whole boat?
Because I think he just wanted to feel special.
I think so too.
Also, a really nice touch is that all the kids have like DSs.
Yeah.
I thought that was really cute. And also that the guy who brings the boat also has a DS, I think. That's really cute.
Also, the DS is compatible with Oz, which I think implies that Oz is run by Nintendo.
No, I think it's just on the internet.
No, but it's compatible.
Yeah.
Maybe.
So is Shovel Knight, but that's compatible on everything.
Oh, okay. You got me. But it's like it's a controller. You can't use a DS as a controller for your PC.
You could if you modded it. Maybe Oz has like a mod that you can control your PC with.
So anyway, I just got, why did he bring in a boat?
That was the important part of the movie for me.
So, Kazuma, the boy who... I know that's not how you pronounce it, but I need to emphasize there's a difference.
Kazuma
is the kid who runs King Kazuma, which doesn't have the U in it.
No, it's still Kazuma, isn't it?
No, it's Kazma when it's the bunny.
I thought it was just... But in Japanese, it would still be
They
Kazuma.
spell it.
Yeah, it would still be Kazuma.
Maybe.
Maybe it was just that I had... Because on the Blu-ray, they said King Kazuma is Kazuma. Like
Maybe, okay.
On the Blu-ray subs that I have, they spell it the same way. Maybe you just had a bad...
So basically, they bring in the supercomputer, and they've got no cooling system for it, so they bring in a bunch of ice to put around it. And then they start fighting the bad guy, and they start to win, because they're not lagging, and then their reaction speed is fast enough, because they have the supercomputer going on. They're going to beat it in a fight. And then, much like when the blue screen happens in Digimon, this is where the similarities really start to come in the way the fighting goes.
Yeah, when they're fighting online, that's when the similarities
So instead of the computer blue screening and lagging, whatever, they start to get lag. They start to get lag again. They go, "What's going on?" And they turn error messages, and they turn around and they open the door and they blast it with heat. And they look around and the ice is not melted; it's gone. Like even the buckets that were holding it are just gone. And then you cut. And the weird cousin who was having the strange incest feelings about the main love interest girl had stolen the ice and moved it to another room.
Well,
to keep the grandma from decomposing.
Jay, that's a pretty bad way to break the ice.
Okay, he was really bad at breaking the ice, honestly, at all times.
Mm-hmm.
So and this is in. I forgot to mention, there is a countdown timer began in which, was it a spaceship or a satellite? It was a satellite.
I think it was a satellite, yeah.
A satellite was basically being controlled to get thrown down at one of some nuclear reactor in Japan. because that's what the bad evil AI was going to do. So and that was its plan. So now you've got your countdown along with a thing falling from the sky and nuclear explosions. I know those are only the elements of it, but it's basically the exact same thing. But instead of 10 minutes, they have 2 hours and 10 minutes.
Well,
Anyway.
I have read somewhere that Hosoda has said that this he made Summer Wars with all the ideas that weren't used in our war game that he wanted to use but couldn't because it was a Digimon movie.
That makes sense.
So basically he said, I really want to use all these ideas and I don't want to just leave them to waste, so I'm just going to make a movie that's not Digimon and get to use all the ideas.
That's fine. And let's see. They never move the ice back either. Like, they just ignore it.
Yeah, I would have moved it back. I would have used, because there's such a big family. I would have got that.
And so King Cosmo gets basically eaten, and everything seems lost. And at this point, I'm like, you should forward the bad guy some emails. You'll kill him that way.
Well, they kind of do get lots of emails, and that does help them.
And you start to think to yourself, wait, isn't the American military running this thing? Are they attacking Japan?
I think it just got out of control. That
I think
was my
maybe,
understanding.
but like, wow, that's war. That is straight up war.
Yeah.
Let's see. They go through the grandma's will. I don't think that's entirely necessary. The nerd. I'm trying to figure out what happens next.
They think they've lost, and then the girl logs on and she plays Hanafuda, which is the card game they're
challenges
playing
it to
earlier.
a game because it likes games.
Yeah.
And so she challenges it to, there's this thematic card game that's been going on, the family's been playing. And so she basically bets the family's accounts against this computer, and she's really good at the game because the grandma was the best in the world at it or something.
Yeah.
She never lost. And they all learned from her for years and years. And there's a system in the game where at some stage, if certain things happen, you can double your bet.
Which means, like, koi koi, which I guess is like the fish.
Yeah, perhaps. So she has 12 accounts, and she gets 24, then she gets 48, and she keeps doubling until she gets a bunch of them. And then all of a sudden, she gets distracted by something in real life, and she loses a game. And the thing steals, the million accounts she'd gotten.
And she's back to down
And she's
like
down to
70.
74, and it says, you don't have enough to play. And then all of a sudden, this like, random German account shows up, and it's like, I'll give you my account, and it's got the little message thing. And now she has 75 and she can play again. And then you start getting the doot as all the email messages start coming in, and it looks a lot like
a war game.
It looks like a lot like our war game.
And they even flash around to different people in the world looking at their phones or computers, and they're giving their accounts to her.
Very similar. And then she, beats this thing in cards because that's how you do these things in anime.
Well, the part I like is that all the emails sort of like stirred the gods of Oz to give her this special item, which reminds me a lot of the evolution to Omegamon, and I like that because I sort of was almost like a reference in a way. I liked it.
It's similar. I wonder what the gods were doing that whole time.
Just
and then
being
in
there, I
its
guess.
last ditch effort, the bad guy tries to throw. It tries to throw the satellite at the estate where the kids are, rather than the nuclear thing, just to kill them specifically out of vengeance.
Yeah.
And they have to fight. They have to kill it, and they're trying to disable its targeting or whatever it is. And it keeps popping up this like new versions of the code
Which he's still
that the
trying
kid broke. The kid didn't actually break it the first time.
Yeah,
the joke is that he got it wrong.
He got the last character wrong.
So he actually screwed up. So
And it
he's
was like
given it
30
again.
other people who were able to do it.
55.
Oh, really?
I
Wait,
watched
not
it
the exact
today.
number? Oh, yeah, that's
So
right.
55 other people broke it, not him. So it kind of takes culpability away from him as the guy who cracked the code.
Yeah.
But now he has to do it. And then he cracks it, and he's about to put in the password to change it, and it pops up a new one. And it happens like 4 times.
And I think King Kazuma is also beating up the love machine at the moment.
No, it's in the background. He hasn't made it yet.
Yeah, yeah.
Love Machine's just sitting there with the key, being like, ha, 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 putting up new walls in front of him.
And then he realizes there's not much time left, so he starts to do it in his head.
Which was impressive. And then he starts bleeding from the nose.
Yeah.
Because that's what you do when you're having a brain hemorrhage.
And then when he yells to the final password, it does the exact same face that Izzy made when he was sending all the emails. That part was cute.
Basically, when he starts doing it in his head, there's like 2 minutes left, or like 1 minute.
Yeah.
And they say that at certain times, like the satellite is going at 7 kilometers a second.
Yeah, but they're able to put it off target.
But if you put it off target, right? And this is covered more realistically in this one.
Yeah.
But it's a huge thing.
Still does lots of
traveling at hundreds of miles an hour, slamming into the ground, and I think instead of on them, it slammed into the ground maybe at most a kilometer away.
Yeah, and it still did tons of damage.
That would just about nuke the area. Because it never lost any momentum whatsoever. It just changed where it hit. So, in a more realistic situation than what happened with the nuclear missile in Japan, or in the Digimon movie, it actually still blows up like a huge hole in the area, and it blows down the walls of the estate, and there's a whole bunch of damage, but no one dies, at least. There's that. But there is the moment when it changes, it shows you the change of targeting, and it zooms way in, and you see the dog, and it said that the bad guy had 2 accounts left, so I'm like, does the dog have an account?
I just was under the impression that the account he was holding on, besides Kenji's account, was the account that was the military person.
Oh, probably.
And the military person who's in charge of the person who's in charge of the satellite, because he needs to still have control over that, and that was the one that they needed to get control of. So that was the impression that I got.
That's
also
basically
the dog.
the movie.
The dog's important.
And then the 2 kids fall in love because that's what happens. There's a whole lot of other stuff that goes on.
And the cute photograph of the granny smiles.
Yes.
I thought that was cute.
So, what's really important about this movie, what's really wrong with this movie, and I really like it actually. It's interesting. I like the family and their interaction more than I like the weird digital stuff. But I was just sitting there thinking to myself, who runs this company that runs Oz? It has to be somebody. There has to be a team of experts who runs this. Can't they just reset the servers or isolate this thing? Is no one responsible?
Their accounts are probably stolen too.
No, but they're administrators. They have the machines there.
I know, but they might not be able to do anything without their account.
But did they have no back doors at all?
Yes, well, that's my impression that I was getting. Like, everything is operated through Oz, so the administrators would have to like plug in their phone or plug in like a USB key.
That seems like the most unsafe system ever.
Like that
if you, as the people who run this thing, lose access to this thing through conventional methods, then there are no methods you can use.
Yeah, well, that's the point of the movie. Like, it's showing you that there's no other way.
And like, if you get into the wrong parts of this world and you just throw one program across the floor, it'll knock everything else down with literal domino effects of disaster. It felt really irresponsible. Like, I wish the thing had done in the news once. Like, oh, everyone who runs this company has killed themselves out of shame. Or everyone at this company is just, like, staring at the wall as the place burns. Like, what's happening over there at Oz Company? The people who essentially run the planet.
Well, it would be more than a 2-hour movie if they added bits about what happened to Oz Company.
It's a news story for 30 seconds.
Oh, yeah, good point.
Once. Just explain what's happening why is no one doing anything? The people who should be most responsible for it, why are they doing nothing?
Do you think it was better than our war game?
I do, yeah.
What would you rate our war game out of 10?
Here's the thing.
Well, I guess in the Japanese version.
Okay, in the Japanese version. It was fine. I still think the characters were a little bit weird and a bit different than they
they're older.
No, but like like we've seen them being older in Try, and I think that's developed better. I don't think it's all that interesting, and yet also a lot of the kids are gone, so it doesn't explore what Digimon future is like. It'd be really weird if, say, you get into Digimon Try, right? And your main characters are Tai, TK, Matt, and Joe. And that's it, right? And everyone else is gone.
Yeah.
Like, what happened to everybody else? Oh, they're in America. Some are in France. Why can't they come back? But that's where they are. That'd be really weird. Like, why wasn't Mimi in this movie? Because she's... Okay, we don't want to write her. Then the English happened, and I go, I'm really glad she's not here.
So what would you rate it in Japanese? Out of 10.
I'm trying to think, because it wasn't terrible. It had its good moments.
Like a 7 or an 8?
I'd give it an 8.
What about in English?
It wasn't perfect.
What about
but it was
English?
Good. Oh, in English suffers from multiple reasons, including context.
Willis?
No, even the Willis thing's fine. I don't think the Willis thing takes a hit. I think it's weird as a change. But what does take a hit is its context right after the prequel, because it doesn't even say after Digimon Adventure in the time card. It's like a 4.
Yeah, it says 4 years after the prequel, I think. Is what they said.
It's like a 4 out of 10.
Oh, you mean a 4 out of 10, yeah.
It's bad because the context is so awful.
And also...
because they changed so much weird stuff.
I don't like the slightly off-putting, like, they try to put more words into a small amount of time, and they just end up people talking really fast and annoying.
Yeah, they do.
So, and what would you rate Summer Wars?
I really like Summer Wars, honestly.
Really?
I'd give it an 8 as well. And here's the thing, they're different 8s.
Yeah.
Right? The first one I gave was a Digimon 8. Would I go out and watch it again? No. I mean, I've watched it twice recently.
Yeah.
But, not really. I would watch Summer Wars again. I like that movie.
I thought it was a bit too long, but I don't know where they could have cut the time. Like, I felt the time was well used.
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
The plot in the digital world in Oz is all important. So you can't cut that.
Yeah.
And the stuff that isn't important is the family stuff. But that's the best part. So you really can't.
Well, I'm just not a person who likes movies that are... I think a good movie is about an hour and a half. After then, my mind starts to wander.
Did you like Spectre?
I really like Spectre.
2.5 hours.
I know, I'm just saying that, like... I still think, 2.5 hours, that's a long movie. But I enjoyed it. I mean, I enjoyed Summer Wars.
The thing is that a really good movie makes you not feel the 2.5 hours.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just still saying that, like, I know, it was 2 hours.
It was, for sure.
It was good, though. I really liked it, and I agree. Like, it's a good 8.
I watched it when I should have been doing work. I'm just sitting there like, I got work to do, but I also need to watch this because I'm recording today.
Yeah.
It was not the smartest thing I've ever done. Alright, everybody, join for the next episode of Parasite. Enter Flamedramon.
Or The One Who Inherits Courage.
And The Digi Team, Comprito.
Or Digital Gate, Open. So, of course, these are the first 2 episodes of Digimon Adventure 02. In the next few days, we'll also be covering the WonderSwan games. That shouldn't be much of a too long episode. It'll just be me talking a lot and Jay reacting to me talking. So, yeah.
We've put out a lot of content lately.
Yeah, it's been a hectic time because of, Try, and then there's the WonderSwan special, which is very highly demanded, and then there's this episode, and people really demanded us to do Summer Wars, which is good, because I wanted to show Jay Summer Wars. So
Are you content with this content?
Yeah.
Let us know. Like, comment, subscribe.
So yeah, the show notes will be linked in the description, and thanks to our 2 patrons, Stephen Patamon, who you can follow at Stephen Patamon on Twitter, and Wu Qinglong, who has a Twitch stream, which I will link in the description, which is Twitch TV /Wu Qinglong. So he said that he at the moment I think he's doing the Star Wars game, the new one, I think, but I could be wrong. Yeah, I think so.
Sweet.
And really good. He also does stream the Digimon Japanese only release games, and he translates them live. So maybe maybe he's doing a Digimon stream this week, and you can watch it before we do the WonderSwan games. If he's doing a Digimon stream, whenever he streams, I'm at work, so I haven't actually watched any of his streams, but definitely check it out. So during editing this, I found that we have a new patron on Patreon, and it's Metal Marmimon. They haven't given a Twitter or blog or project that they're working on to plug yet, but yeah, so thank you. So the ending theme, as I said earlier, ending and opening theme to our podcast for this episode is a mashup between 1 Week and Sakuhin No. 2 Haru, and it's made by First Agent on Tumblr. See you next time, everybody.
Bye.
Look at me.